Good afternoon, people, or good morning, depending on when you're watching. That's your call. It is my honor to have on Southern Connecticut State All-Conference closer Tommy Hughes and childhood friend.
Yeah, that's
crazy.
I appreciate you having me,
man. It's a pleasure to have you on. It's crazy. I cannot believe that it's not just you. There's so many people, whether it's from town, state, wherever, the things that they're doing these days.
Yeah, man.
And it's crazy because when I think of you, I always think of you as the kid I grew up with. Whereas some people that are into baseball and they pay attention to college athletics and certain things like that, they hear your name and they're like, "Oh my God, Tommy's a beast of a pitcher." You kidding me? I'm like, yeah, Tommy's Tommy. But what I like to do is it doesn't matter who comes on. I like to walk down memory lane with them real quick. So, back to the basics, back to the beginning. What first got you into baseball?
My dad. I started playing baseball when I was about 5 years old. T-ball with my dad, a couple buddies from the neighborhood. And then I really didn't start to have a passion for it until majors in Little League. I was more into basketball.
Right.
I didn't think that baseball was what I wanted to do. I wanted to play basketball all the time. Any free time I had, I just wanted to hoop. But then come majors, I was introduced to AAU, like travel ball, and then I started playing for the Connecticut Capitals, the travel team in Hartford, and that's when I realized that baseball is what I want to take serious, because the year prior, I'd played AAU basketball, and it was only for one season, and I really wasn't into it. I wasn't playing much. I was undersized.
Yeah.
The 6th to 7th grade transition, a lot of kids grew and I didn't. So that's when they started to surpass me in sports and stuff like that. And I was like, baseball really, you didn't need the height. You just needed the talent.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't even know if I had all the talent, but I was definitely good enough then to play at that level.
Right.
So that's when I started to really fall in love with baseball. And that's when it really started to take off, because then I was like, I want to play travel ball every year. I want to compete with the best guys, and I want to see if I can make something out of this.
What was the first position you ever played?
The first position I ever played, well, if we go way back to Little League, to T-ball, everybody wanted to play first base. But my dad was my coach, and he just had me play wherever he felt would put us in the best position to win.
Yeah.
So really, it was catcher, it was infield, it was pitching, it was everything. I'd say majority of the time I was catching, though.
So you might not remember this. I actually do, because I was thinking about the times playing T-ball and all the Little League stuff growing up. And you might not remember this, but I do. I grounded to, I think it was second. I'm convinced it was second. And I'm pretty sure you were playing second, because this is why this story's the thing. And I remember I was running. I've always been slow. It didn't matter how much I weighed growing up and all the way till now. I was always slow. And I was running my heart out to first base, and you were chasing me with the ball, coming from an angle to tag me out, and I slid into first, and I was safe, but everyone started clowning me, who's this guy? You started clowning me too. You don't remember this? This was so long ago, and it was such a fond memory, because whenever I play the show, I'm like, slide to first, as a joke, just because of that. But those are memories, man, just memories.
Yeah, awesome.
But yeah, so. That's good. So you played everywhere. At what point did you eventually start pitching? And do you remember the very first time you pitched to an actual catcher, or started the process of actually worrying about how to locate and stuff?
Yeah, well, worrying about locating didn't come till later. Starting pitching to a catcher, I was probably, I have to say 8 or 9 years old. Got to minors. And that's when they stopped doing coach pitch.
Yeah.
And then Little League, I pitched here and there. Like I said, I played everywhere. And then probably when I started with AAU was when I really started trying to learn how to actually pitch and not just throw.
And how old were you?
12.
Okay.
12 years old.
Cool.
So I started throwing with a couple pitching coaches. I went to lessons with my brother. We would both go and do it at the same time. And that's when I started to learn mechanics and basically just how to do things right. I was just getting up there and kind of guessing as a kid.
Right.
I'm sure that's what most kids are doing, and just listening to the little things that their coach or their parents are telling them to do, whether they're right or wrong. But I started working with a pitching coach at Baseball City in Hartford. And he was kind of trying to teach me the little things, like as much as he could teach a 12-year-old, basically.
Right.
And then I didn't start pitching seriously until I was about a sophomore in high school. I wanted to pitch my freshman year, but I was still pretty undersized. I think I went into high school at like 5'3", maybe like 110 pounds.
Wow.
Like, soaking wet.
That's crazy.
Started throwing a little bit on the JV team because they didn't really have a space for me to pitch on varsity, and on varsity I only play the infield.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a funny story too. I wasn't an infielder. On AAU, my team was very talented, and I didn't always play the most. So when I did, I'd get in at the most random spots. I could be the right fielder one day, I could be second base the next day. You never know what's going on. Yeah, it got to me sometimes, but you get through it. And I remember getting to high school the first day. We had a meeting, and he asked us what positions we play. And he gave us a sheet at the first meeting.
Yeah.
I just totally lied. I just wrote down exactly what I wanted to play. I put second short pitcher. I just wanted to play second, want to play short, want to pitch.
Everybody wants to be a shortstop.
That's it, man. That's where
position.
Especially at that age, that's where the talented kids usually play. Yeah. And I'm like, I want to be that. I want to be that.
Right.
And then sophomore year, I was given my first real opportunity to pitch on varsity, and that's when I was like, damn, I really like pitching.
Right.
I was really into it, and kind of took off from there.
So were you learning all the different pitch types when you were 12?
Yeah, so I think I learned those pitches actually like playing wiffle ball, playing with tennis ball, stuff like that. Right. Like you could go on YouTube, you could watch the pros, whatever, and just take little things you see from them and just mess around with it, and sometimes it clicks, and that's what really happened with me.
So this is up to you, because I obviously don't want to give the opponents, the scouting report. But what do you got in your arsenal? What do you throw?
So right now I'm throwing four seam, I'm throwing a slider, I'm throwing a curveball, and I'm throwing a circle changeup. Four pitches.
What's the difference between a four seam and a two seam?
Two seam runs to your arm side. So the arm you throw with, if you threw a two seam, the goal is to have it move that way. So if I threw with my right arm, I'd want it to move to the right when I release it.
Really?
And you would grip it differently. It's a different grip. So
yeah,
like four seam, you would grip on the C because you would see the seams of the ball like that.
Yeah.
So you grab the C and you would throw it like that. But a two seam, you'd only grip two of the seams. You could turn the ball a different way to make it move differently, different pressures on your fingers, stuff like that.
Why is it that the baseball, depending on where you hold it, can have such an impact to where you release it and like the certain grip?
Is
it the way it's designed because of
like the seams, like you use the seams and you use like different pressures and different grips to make the ball move different.
Yeah.
And like different spin rates, and like you want to just use the seams to your advantage almost. Like for a four seam, like I want it to run off the tips of my pointer and my middle finger, get backspin, and have it go straight. But let's say I'm throwing a curveball, I might rest my middle finger on a seam and then curl my wrist a different way, like finish a different way, in order to get it that spin, to get it to bend in the air and break, essentially.
What was the hardest one that you had to learn from what you can remember?
Probably change up.
Yeah.
Nowadays, I feel like a lot of coaches are emphasizing like you're going to be successful when you get to the next level with the changeup. But I feel like when I was a kid, most of us were just throwing fastball, curveball. Right. Like that's all we were worried about.
The basic too.
You get to college, even in high school, and your coaches are asking you like, "Oh, let's see the changeup," and a lot of us just freeze up. Like if you have that changeup and you got that 3-pitch mix, like even if you have 3 pitches and then some, like if you have like that 4th pitch, 5th pitch, you're golden. But if you can get those 3 pitches down, that's when you're in a good position to be successful at that next level.
What do you think is the hardest type of pitcher as a hitter to hit off of? Is it like if they can throw like 98, 99, and then they throw like a 78 changeup? Like, does the changeup have to be like a not, like, you know what I'm saying?
I think it's those guys that throw like from the 3/4 slot, so they're like not straight over the top, they're not completely on the side, but like right in between.
Yeah.
And they throw sinker slider. Those are the tough guys because sinker's like a 2-seamer. So a 2-seamer runs to your arm side. A sinker does the same thing, but it drops.
Right.
So that's like the same movement as a changeup, but harder. So let's say you got a guy. Perfect example, I played with this kid a couple summers ago. He threw a sinker at 92, we'll say it was. Mm-hmm. And his slider was like 84. But both those pitches are coming in at the same
looks
slot.
the same.
They're tunneled, like the exact same.
Yeah.
And one just dives to the left and one just dives to the right. And you don't know, and it's like especially when a sinker guy starts most pitches at the belt or like at the knees.
Right.
Like if you see it at the knees, you got to lay off because that thing's just diving to your feet.
Yeah.
After so.
Wow.
Those guys are the hardest to face probably. And then if you get a sinker slider guy with a good changeup, like you're seeing it's all 3 pitches tunneled the same. The changeup could be 80 and dropping into your back foot. If you're a right-hand hitter, the sinker could be 10, 12 miles per hour harder and doing the same exact thing. And then you got that one pitch you got to worry about that's going away from you.
Yeah.
Or into you, depending on what side you play. You hit from.
I'm sure all the baseball junkies that are listening right now are loving this
Yeah,
breakdown.
yeah.
I'm loving it right now.
Yeah.
So, and to be honest, there was a period where, honestly, maybe even my whole life, that might be being too much. I don't know, but I just never cared much for baseball like that. Well, obviously, I'm gonna be watching the MLB
For sure.
and I just didn't care that much. And then when I got the show 21, and that was an incredible game.
Not the first person to say this.
That was
the show got you into
yeah,
it.
it was the show. And dog, I picked up right where I left off. Like I got to know all the players in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Like I figured out I grew up a Yankees fan. Always said that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if you remember, my true first name is Mariano.
Yep.
And my mom and dad would always joke with me growing up, like, yeah, you were named after Rivera.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh shit, like that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's dope.
So I would say I was a Yankees fan, and I still have love for the Yankees. Mm-hmm. Still have love, but when it comes to basketball and football, my teams are all over. So why not add it to baseball? So that's when I was playing Diamond Dynasty, and that's when I met Vladdy.
And that's your guy now.
Yeah.
Now you're a Blue Jays fan?
Yeah. So technically I'm a Blue Jays fan, but let's say they didn't make the playoffs and the Yankees were in. I'll root for the Yankees.
Yeah.
But
both good organizations.
Yeah. If I'm not mistaken, you're a Cardinals fan, or did you grow up a Cardinals fan?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, my dad was a Cardinals fan. He grew up in the Midwest, and then kind of just connected with the family. When we were younger, we were fans of everything.
Yeah.
You probably were the same way. You found a player, you liked him, and you liked that team for a month, and then you found another.
Yeah, right.
And that's how I was. And then as I got older and really started to think about it, it was the Cardinals.
So do you still pay attention to them, everything that's going on?
Love the Cardinals.
What's the outlook of the team for this upcoming season?
Very good offense, very questionable pitching, and very good defense. They usually are up there in Gold Gloves.
Right.
They're gonna get a lot of studs on defense.
Do they have Goldschmidt? Is he in the Cardinals?
Goldschmidt at first, Arenado at third. That's a Gold Glove.
Yep.
Yachty just retired. He's usually a Gold Glove.
He was managing Puerto Rico, right?
Yeah.
He was doing a good job.
He's very good. And
we should have won, bro. That was crazy.
They got Edman. He could get a Gold Glove.
Yep.
They got a lot of defensive talent. It's the pitching that they got to worry about.
I love how I actually know these players just because of the game. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's awesome. Dude. You get their cards. You get to play with them, mix them around. It's awesome.
I mean, you keep saying questionable pitching. I mean, I'm sure they could use you, huh?
Nah, I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So talk to me. When you first went to high school, you didn't go to our high school. At least maybe you did for a little bit, but like you ended up going to a different one. What was the reason why you... And you could be honest here. Yeah. It's your call.
No, yeah. When I was coming out of middle school, my brother had already been at EC Goodwin for 2 years, and he really liked it, and it just was like, for him, it was his best option to have a backup plan because he wasn't always the best student, so he wanted to have something in his back pocket if he decided I'm not going to go to college. And then my mom wasn't really, well, both my parents, honestly, they weren't really loving the idea of Newington schools. I don't know what their actual reasoning behind it was.
Right.
But, so they gave me options. It was Goodwin or Northwest Catholic. And I didn't really know much about Northwest Catholic. I didn't really know what to decide. It was a big decision for me at the age of 13, 14. I didn't know where I wanted to go, what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I knew about Goodwin, and I knew that they had a good baseball team, like, regardless if they're not playing the same competition as Newington, because Newington's a much larger school. Mm-hmm. So I just decided, I was like, yeah, I'll go with what I know. I'll just go to Goodwin. Like, I'm sure the coach would love to have me. Like, that could be like a good option for me to start. And my mom always said, she's like, if it doesn't work out for you, like, you can leave. Like, you can try other options. I was like, cool. Then I went to Goodwin, and I didn't necessarily love it at first, but I started to, like, it was tough being the new kid. I mean, we all have had that feeling before. Mm-hmm. But once I got there and found my group of friends and started to, like, adjust there and made the basketball team to start, like, played a little JV, a little varsity, and then ended up making the baseball team, and, like, you know, just found a clique and found people that I really care about and still talk to today. Mm-hmm. that made it so much easier. And
Right.
and of course, like the real ones, the people that you know from Newington
Of
and really
course.
care about, still like stay in touch with you. And,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
So what was your success like there? Like, were you guys ever good? Did you guys ever make a playoff run? Did you not make the
So-
playoffs? Because I genuinely don't know.
we were always like a top 3 tech school in our conference, and we had a conference tournament, and we never. I don't think we never won the conference tournament. The closest we came was in the championship game. I think we lost multiple times.
Damn.
But the furthest we made it in a state tournament was the 3rd round. There's 5 rounds. We made it to the quarterfinal,
Nice.
and we faced Waterford, and the pitcher for Waterford is now in AAA for the Pirates.
Oh my God.
He's right-hand pitcher.
That's nuts.
And he was pretty talented.
So he must have been shoving.
So he did very well. I think we had 3
Yeah.
hits, and all 3 hits resulted in double plays right after that.
That's
so.
wild.
But yeah, that was the furthest we went, and but we always were successful in the regular season. We always had a solid squad for our league, and then once we got to states, it was pretty difficult for us. But we had a couple good runs, and I definitely enjoyed that team and the experience. A good one playing baseball.
All right, talk to me. So when you were going throughout EC Goodwin, at what point, or maybe honestly, right when you got there, did you say to yourself, "I want to play college ball"?
My goal is always to play college ball.
Okay.
I realized I could play college ball probably like my sophomore year, because I went back to playing honestly like every position and any position that the coach needed me to play, and I was like, oh, I'm like excelling here, I'm excelling there, like I could definitely make something out of this. And I started going to like showcases around Connecticut or honestly in New England, like wherever I could find, and I was getting some feedback from like a couple Division III schools, junior colleges, maybe like 2-3 emails from Division II, and maybe like a come to my camp email from like Division I. Nothing serious, because I just wasn't ready for that level.
Right.
And then like once I started getting more and more interest for visits and stuff like that from like these Division III schools, I took my first visit my junior year, I want to say it was, with the old coach at Eastern Connecticut, and that's when he was in favor of me playing the infield. He liked me as a shortstop.
Wow.
And I was like, that's what I wanted to play. I really enjoyed playing short. Like you said, it's a sexy position, you know what I mean?
Right.
So took that visit, and then the Southern email was one of those, like, come to our camp. Like, just we'll get another look at you. I went there. I did as well as I thought I should have. And then they expressed their interest and offered me a spot on the team, and I took it, and the rest is history.
Did they ever let you bat in high school?
In high school, yeah, I hit all 4 years. I was a over 300 hitter every single year.
Get out.
But like I said, the talent wasn't anywhere near what I needed to be facing to excel at that position in college. Because I got to college and I was blown away by guys that weren't even like the top dog at the school. I'm seeing these guys throwing like 85 miles per hour, and in my eyes it's looking like 95, because in high school I was seeing 75 every day.
Yeah.
So it was a tough adjustment, and I think that's why ultimately I ended up putting the bat down and
Right. That must have been
getting
tough.
into pitching. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, I also enjoyed, like, especially when I had absolutely nothing to do, no one to hang out with, like everybody was busy, just taking a ride up to my old travel ball facility and just hitting by myself, going on the tee, like just hanging there and doing, like, that was always fun. And then it's like at the same time I was going there to get my work in to be a good hitter, and once I put the bat down, there was no sense in doing things like that. Like, I could still go hit if I wanted to, but it was like I didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It, like you said, it was definitely tough.
Do you think in order to be a great pitcher, you had to have been a hitter at some point so you can know the mindset of a hitter? Do you think that has to help a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Because you know, like, what...
Yeah, because I'm thinking sometimes
Yeah.
on the mound, like, if I was a hitter, what would I be thinking?
Right.
What would I be expecting here?
Yeah.
And then I just want to throw exactly what I wouldn't be expecting. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So,
Right.
yeah, that definitely played a factor in becoming a better pitcher and a decision maker on the mound.
From what you remember, from what you know in baseball in general, what do you think is the art to hitting or stepping up to the plate? The art or the art to getting on base. What do you think?
You got to be disciplined. You got to go up there with an approach and stick with it. if you're not a high ball hitter, if you're not a low ball hitter, if you're not a power hitter, you have to just be you. Like, let's say you're the frail shortstop that maybe gets one homer a year. Don't go up there swinging for the fences and just whiffing the balls. Go up there with your slapping the ball, gap to gap approach, and try and be successful in what you know. Don't try to like go outside your game, and it's just gonna only make you fail more and more. You know what I mean?
At some point, I want to play in the men's softball league in town.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
at some point.
It's definitely a lot of fun.
Right, and I was playing so I work at the rec center at SCSU.
Okay.
And they do a bunch of intramural leagues. And I did intramural softball last year. We had a team. We lost in the semifinal. We went against the freaking dude, the football team, like the actual football team.
Bombs, yeah.
Dog, it wasn't even fair. But we went against them. But regardless, throughout the season, I was getting so mad because there's people that were like smaller and skinnier than me, and they're getting more pop in the ball than me. I'm like, dog. And I realized my problem was, dog. Every time I would just like try and kill the ball.
Yep.
Like there was no technique. I didn't. So at some point, I definitely want to go to the batting cages.
And
you know
learn,
what those
like,
are. And
learn
just
what
like relearn the
works
art of
for you.
hitting.
Yeah,
Because
there you go.
just because why not?
YouTube helps.
Yes,
looking
yeah,
into
it
like,
does.
because I know a softball swing is a lot different than a baseball swing.
For sure.
You can go on YouTube and look up men's softball swing mechanics. I'm sure you'll find 100 videos
right.
on stuff like that.
Yeah, but dog, I was so stiff because I haven't swung in like since I was like a freaking kid, and the mechanics are just gone out the window.
I haven't done it for 4 years, and I feel like I can't even go up and get a hit. Like, if you gave me 10 chances against an average pitcher, I'd probably strike out 10 times. It's like that. It's like that hard. It's something you gotta work at every day, or at least multiple times a week to be good at it.
I'm jealous of the people that make it look so effortless.
Yeah, dude, there's some people that just got it.
Who do you think has the sexiest swing in the league right now?
Sexiest
or all
swing
time?
in the
That's up to
league.
you.
Right now, sexiest swing, I really like Juan Soto.
He's nuts.
I like Juan Soto's swing, his left-handed swing. It would have to be him. Yeah, I go with Juan Soto.
Everybody always says a lefty. Why is the lefty swing so famous or so popular?
I don't know.
Like, you never hear a righty.
I know.
It's always Griffey, Soto, I don't know, Shohei.
Plenty of lefties. Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. I know when it comes to recruiting and, like, there's certain things that coaches like about players. And when I was getting recruited, even if it wasn't directed towards me, there was coaches telling people that they're, like, attracted to left-handed hitting shortstops. Or, like, switch hitting shortstops. Or, like, stuff like that.
Lindor.
And I'm like, yeah, exactly. So, like, I don't know. Left-handed swings are just attractive.
They are.
And it's like, the thing is, like, we all think it, but why is it so attractive? Like,
Yeah.
You don't know.
I'm definitely going to, God willing, the day I have kids, dog, my kid is playing baseball. I'm so mad I quit. Now, I'm not saying it would have been good or anything.
Something
But it would have been so nice to say that I kept at it, because I quit right before, I think I quit in like intermediate or right before majors.
Yep.
Because, dog, I forget who the pitcher was. Dude, I got pegged twice in the same game, and I said, fuck this, I'm done. No, so seriously.
No, I believe
like,
it.
I ate them, but I'm like, dude, this is like, what's the payoff here?
Yeah.
I'm not even guaranteed to get a hit every time.
Yeah.
There's a chance that I can absolutely get my head blown off.
Blown off.
And it's crazy, like, I was such a little ball.
Yeah.
I'm more scared of that than a football or you know what I'm saying? It's not, but it was nuts. But I quit. I was like, I'm done. I remember I got in the car with my dad. I said, Dad, I love you. I'm done. Fuck this. We're picking something else. But I definitely want my kids to play baseball, and I'm definitely gonna raise them as a switch hitter.
Yeah, you gotta.
Put
the ball in his left hand too. That's where the money is.
Yeah.
If you could raise a left-hand pitcher, that's the ticket.
Really?
Left-hand pitchers or switch hitting middle infielders, like.
But because there's more right-handed hitters in the league, wouldn't they be able to see lefties better? Or is that a misconception?
Are you saying?
Isn't it easier to hit as a righty hitting off a lefty pitcher?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. Left-hand pitchers have always been seen very highly.
Really?
And, yeah. Left-hand pitcher. That's just. Right now in baseball, that's the ticket to the MLB.
Isn't Edwin Diaz a lefty?
Right-hander.
He's right-hander?
Aroldis is a lefty.
Aroldis, that's what I'm thinking of. Yeah.
Diaz is a righty. He's got that slider, that tight slider.
Yeah, so I'm glad that Diaz got brought up and Aroldis. So you're a closer now.
Correct.
When you first went to college, first of all, were you starting at UC Goodwin? Or were you
Yeah.
closing there too? Okay,
I
you're
started
starting.
with Goodwin, yeah.
So, going to college, were all of them telling you we want you to be a closer, or how did that transition work? And did that impact you mentally? Like, did you like that or hate that in a way?
It's a tough adjustment. I'm not gonna say I liked it at first, but going into college, I wasn't like a dog. You know what I mean? Like I wasn't like the guy going in. I was just like I was like the last commit, the last recruit for them, and
Yeah.
like I went in there and they just like they already have their starters. They already have their closer. They already have, and then like the jobs you kind of like finalize are starter, closer, and then the rest of the pitchers are just relievers. So they just come in like starter goes 6, maybe that reliever goes 7 and 8, and the closer goes 9.
Right.
So I was in that pack of just what reliever do we want to throw that day? They'd put me in, they'd put other guys in, and then when I became a closer was once the senior closer graduated. Then I started to grow a little, put on a little bit of weight,
Right.
start throwing a little harder, and they were like, and just like, I excelled in tougher situations, and sometimes I made the situations tougher myself, but I began to find ways to get out of those situations, you know? And then the coach gains his trust in you, and then he's like, when he considers who would be the best for the role, I guess I kind of just beat out the other guys that were obviously aiming to get that job. And, mentally getting out there, like, toughest situations are first and second no outs, and they look down in the bullpen, and they're like, yeah, you're in now.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't create that situation, but I have to go out there, and I have to get out of it. That's my job.
Right.
And it's tough when some people create very crappy situations, and then you got to go out there and you got to clean up the mess.
Yeah.
But as I began to get more comfortable, as I began to find my ways of getting out of these jams, you start to love it.
Yeah.
So
I also feel like in this era, if you're a closer, you're a badass.
Yeah.
Everyone loves closers these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
I don't know if it felt like that a few years ago, but if you really think about
Yeah.
it, if someone says, I feel like saying you're the closer is like the equivalent of saying, yeah, when the game's in line, they put the ball in my hands.
that's it. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. And
Like that's an honor if you think about it.
Yeah. First year as like a real closer was last year.
Yeah.
I was still like long relief. I'd come in 3-4 innings at a time. I'd come in for 1 inning one day, and it all depended. But last year I came in for a lot of save situations, and there was a couple I blew. Like I went out there a couple times and I made it harder for myself. I didn't like the other team got to me. You know, they like to chirp. They get in your head, and we ended up losing the game. But majority of the time I succeeded last year, and the opportunities I got with saves, I ended up getting like 6 saves in the season. But some of the situations, like even this year, I've already put myself in 3 bases loaded situations where if I gave up a single 2-run score, we lose, but I got out of all 3.
Nice.
So it's very nerve-wracking, but this year I am a lot more comfortable than I was last year because I'm not as new to the role. You know what I mean?
How do you keep? Because as a pitcher, you definitely have to have a steady heartbeat, calm nerves.
Keep that composure.
Do you meditate or anything, or do you have any rituals to keep her cool? Like
before the innings begin, my thing is sign of the cross, look up, and just pray for the best, basically. And then I get on that mound, and the only thing I like to worry about is me and the catcher, because I don't even call my own pitches. We have a coach for that.
Right.
So I'm just locked in with him, and regardless if things are going wrong, always lift those that aren't doing as well. So, for example, let's say I throw a pitch that wasn't where it was supposed to be, and it goes to the backstop, but that winning run's on second, so that guy takes third. I'm going to look at the catcher and be like, we got this. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
I can't go out there and just keep, like, mother effing myself. Like, I gotta keep my composure, and I gotta lift up those so that we're all, like, confident in the moment, and we can get out of it. And, so far, so good. Honestly, like, that's the best thing. Like, if everybody's on the same page, I got guys lifting me up behind me, like my teammates and stuff, and I don't focus on the enemy, the other team, then that's when I'm at my best.
Who's the hardest batter you've ever had to go against? Or the best batter that you can remember?
Best batter I've ever gone against.
Or player that you've gone against in general. That's like maybe the
best player?
Yeah. Is
the
it that
player
guy that
at the highest level, would be the guy that I faced that year. The best batter I've ever faced was probably... See, now, there's been tournaments where I've played against some very talented teams. I don't know all the kids that I played against, but I know they've been committed to some high schools. But to my knowledge, the best batter I probably ever faced was Sal Frelick. He played on Italy this year in the World Baseball Classic.
No way.
And
What was he playing? What position?
He's a center fielder.
Was he starting?
Yep,
And
number 11.
You pitched against him.
Pitched against him in Summer Collegiate League when I was on New Britain Bees. And he was on, it was either North Shore or Brockton, and I think I threw a curveball like almost in the dirt, and he just lunged out and hit it off the center field wall. Like, it was nuts. Like it was no problem. Oh, yeah. Kid was legit.
He said, how you doing?
And that was
Crazy.
the only league that year. That was like one of the top leagues because of COVID.
Right.
The Cape was shut down, which is where those kids would be.
Mm-hmm.
Like the NECBL, which is another high league, was shut down. So
right.
a lot of those guys filtered into this league, and I'm facing these dogs, and they were really embarrassing me. Like, I'm no joke. It was a shock. I needed to see it though.
Yeah. So I'm glad you said that, but real quick, I just want to bring this up. So, I was literally having this conversation yesterday because I told a couple of buddies of mine they were coming over, and they were saying, "Dog, if we had Tommy go to NHS, we would have won multiple chips because we could. They said we could have used that pitching.
Yeah, no, I definitely
crazy.
If I went back, I honestly would have wanted to go to Newington High School and experience that because there was a lot of talented kids in Newington that played baseball.
There were,
and honestly, like iron sharpens iron. Like some of those guys could have took my spot or a spot that I've never earned. They could have just earned it over me.
Right.
And I would have had to fight even harder and harder to be better and to get out on the field and compete. So. Yeah, honestly, I'm not going to say that I would have brought Newington championships, but I definitely would have loved to compete with some of those guys that I grew up with.
Hey, man, everyone's got their own path.
Yeah, that's it, man.
So no regrets.
Yeah, that's it.
So I'm glad you brought up the bees because that was what I was definitely working my way towards.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me how that got brought up to you, and tell me what that experience was like playing for the bees.
So the bees was an opportunity that was brought up by my college coach, and he was like, they're leaving whatever league they were in, and they're going to start grabbing summer kids for a summer league. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, I would love to play there. So he got in contact with the coach. They sent me over my contract, and I ended up making the squad. And I was nervous that I wasn't going to be a part of the squad because, like I said, a lot of those summer leagues got shut down. So there was a lot of guys that looking for opportunities that were way more talented than I was.
And was this during 21 or 20? Or even 22? What was it?
I want to say 20.
Okay.
But like I said, a lot more talented guys than I was, and I got my opportunity, and it was awesome. It was a year I needed. I had a lot of good coaches. I struggled on the mound. I started to jump in velocity, but I was throwing. I wasn't pitching. Walking a lot of guys. I was hitting a lot of guys. You know what I mean? And I had so many brains to pick. Guys that are pro now, guys that are at better schools or at higher level schools, I should say, than what I'm at, and coaches that have been around the game for a while. So all summer I was just getting different outlooks on like what I should work on, hearing what guys did to get to this point.
Yeah.
And just taking all those and trying to mesh them together.
Dude, that's incredible.
Create my own formula to, just level up basically.
So you said during 20. So were you still going to so what month did that start?
The season started in June. It was like June to August. So it was during the summer months.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah.
What was life like for you during 2020?
It was tough. I made the most of it because I wasn't as scared as some other people were.
Yeah.
So I had my buddies that I could link up with and, still do things with.
Right.
And I had a travel coach who gave me the key to his facility, and I was allowed to go up there and work out. That's when I really fell in love with working out.
That's great.
I had a free gym. It wasn't a very large gym. It didn't have that much, but it had enough. And I could drive up there whenever I want, go in and work out by myself, clean everything before I left, just to make sure it was safe for everyone.
Wow.
And then leave. And that's what I did. I think every day I'd wake up, eat, go straight and work out. Go hit. I started hitting again just for fun, you know what I mean?
Wow.
Throwing, working out, whatever I could do just to keep busy, go home, and then just hang out. I mean, it was a weird time, but I think I needed that pause, time to just regroup myself and reassess where I'm at. And then once life started to become more normal again, and get back in the swing of things, I was very appreciative for the time COVID gave me to, like I said, like reassess everything and just see where I was at in life.
When you played for the Bees and you said contract, did you get paid for that?
Did not get paid. No, because
Gotcha.
they were so it was a professional team as the Rockettes, and then became semi-professional.
Yep.
And then they completely left all professional leagues to just start a summer collegiate league for kids.
Okay.
Like me and like at any level. And they joined the Futures Collegiate League, which is like a New England league. There's teams in New Hampshire, Mass.
Yeah.
And Connecticut, and there might be another state, but I can't remember.
Yeah. So I don't know if you said it because I might have forgotten.
Mm-hmm.
So right after E.C. Goodwin, did you go to Southern, or were you at a different school before Southern?
Southern right away.
Southern the whole time?
Yep.
Gotcha. And how have you enjoyed that experience?
I loved Southern. I got lucky enough to go to college with some kids that I'd already played with prior to Southern, and I ended up rooming with a kid that I played travel ball with for multiple years. And I just met a lot of good people at Southern.
Wow.
The adjustment to college was tough, obviously. Time management wasn't my thing. I just wanted to go have fun. I felt so free when I got there.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have my priorities straight. But yeah, Southern was definitely one of the best things that's happened to me, because my coaches, my friends, the older guys on the team, like, they all taught me things to get me to where I am today. And I think if I didn't meet some of those people, then I wouldn't be the person I was now.
Do you guys play CCSU this season?
We do not play CCSU. We don't usually scrimmage Division Ones. The only Division One that we scrimmaged was Quinnipiac this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What is your goal for this season? Because you guys, what week are you in right now?
This is like week 7, I want to say.
Yeah. And how many weeks are there for you guys?
We finish up May 8th, I think.
Okay.
This season, an individual goal for myself is just there's 3 all-conference spots for relievers.
Mm-hmm.
1 first team, 1 second team, 1 third team. Last year I was third team. My goal is to be first team, of course. But as a team, which is way more important, we want to win the conference. We want to win a regional. Last year, the way the conference tournament works, I think it's like 8 teams, but 6 teams playing a play-in game. And if you lose that play-in, you're done for the conference tournament. But if you win that game, you enter a double elimination tournament with the rest of the teams.
Right.
To see who wins, obviously.
Yeah.
And we have not made it to that stage since 2019. Last year, we were lucky enough that our regular season record got us an auto bid into the regional, NCAA regional.
Wow.
So when we lost that playing game, we had like a week and a half, 2 weeks off, and then we went to Wilmington, Delaware, and we played one of the top 10 teams in the country, Southern New Hampshire. In the regional final, we ended up losing by a lot of runs in those 2 games. We had a 2-game set against them because we beat Wilmington the first game, and then SNU beat them and eliminated them. Got to the final, and we got smacked.
Damn.
But this year, our goal is to make it past that, because if we can get past that regional to the super regional, that's a 3-game set against the winner of the other regional. So there's 2 Northeast regionals, 7 teams. One has 4, one has 3. The winner of those regionals goes on and plays in a super regional in a 3-game set.
Yep.
The winner of that goes to the World Series, the College World Series. So we would go to Cary, North Carolina.
Wow.
And that's
the goal, obviously.
That's where we want to get.
Dude,
The school hasn't gotten there in a few years, and that's what we're striving for.
Why not start now, right?
Exactly.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, obviously, baseball has been a big deal in your life all the way up to this point. But what would you say has also gotten you to this point? Any driving factors, or what has been going on in your life for the most part aside from baseball? What's your major? What are you up to these days?
Yeah. So I majored in sport management. I didn't start as a sports management major. I started as an exercise science major with no real concentration. I just didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to study that, and started taking the classes my second semester freshman year, and it just none of it interested me. Taking anatomy phys, taking phys ed classes in case I wanted to teach and all that. I just didn't like it, and I was thinking of switching to business management or sport management, and I had a couple buddies that were already sports management majors to tell me it was very interesting. So I decided to try it out, and that's what I stuck with ever since. So I'm obtaining my degree in sports management this spring. And then hopefully obtaining my master's degree after next year.
Yeah.
But other than baseball, it's all baseball. Like, I don't really have much time in the summer because of summer ball. So what I'm doing is working at different facilities. The Connecticut Capitals in Hartford, Connecticut. There's a facility that one of my buddy's dads runs in New York. It's like an hour away from my schoolhouse.
Mm-hmm.
And I go there and I help with clinics, camps, whatever is needed on my off days and stuff like that, just to get a little extra money. But other than that, yeah, I have a girlfriend of over 2 years now. So that's another thing that's taking up some of my time.
Right.
Which is going really well. But other than that, yeah, just hanging with friends, trying to keep in contact with everybody.
That's awesome, man.
It's been there for me through this very difficult journey.
Yeah.
And just, living. That's it.
Has baseball now, in this current moment for you, felt more like a job, or does it still feel like the same game that you've always played?
Same game. I just love
like
it,
this,
man. It's just
like, is there any added pressure, if that makes sense?
So, of course, there's added pressure because my driving factor to get better is the next level. So, in high school, it was college. Now in college, it's professional. The odds of someone going professional are so low. But the way I look at it is just, if I can strive for that, I'll continue to better myself now and perform now, and you never know what could happen.
Right.
So I always think like there's a next level to continue to drive myself to just get better and put myself in the best situation possible now.
Right.
To perform on the field.
When you play now and you go out there, do they give you guys walk-up songs or anything?
Yeah, you get to pick them.
So what's your song when you're walking out to scare the living shit out of a team? To put them away.
I'm a goofy guy. My main song, my first song is Not a Star by Rick Ross. That's a good one. But my other songs are, I've done Take You There, Sean Kingston.
Crazy.
I've done Gal, You a Party Animal.
Crazy.
That one gets the people going. They like that one. Then I'll do some like techno songs like
nice.
I'm Good. That's a good one.
Nice.
Trying to think what else I've done. Oh, I did what was it? Sweet Escape. Did that one year.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a large variety. I like to stay loose. I don't like to I'm not big on like a serious song, a rock song, something that's gonna have me like veins popping out of my neck, you know what I mean? I like to go out there and just flow and like listen to some good music.
Do you ever talk when you're on the mound? Like, do you ever talk your shit?
Or
have you ever, as a team, ever gotten to you where, like, let's say they were talking, you put them in, they're like, yeah, what's up now?
Yeah, I'm big on trying to keep my mouth shut until the job is done.
Yeah.
But if a team really deserves to hear what I have to say, once I complete the job, I will definitely voice what I was thinking the entire time. Whether it gets me in trouble or it doesn't.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't like to talk until I do the job. Because last year I made that mistake a couple times. I'd go in for 2 innings. The first inning I get the job done, and I'm talking coming off, and the next inning I'm blowing the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you can't talk too soon, or else something like that can happen. So this year, multiple times, I've gotten a job done and said a few choice words, and given a little look, just because I'm confident, and the job's done. We beat you. You know what I mean? But you definitely have to be careful what you say.
If and when you were to go professional, would you stick with one song, or would you keep switching? How cool would it be if you're, let's say, a little kid, and you're like, oh my God, like Tommy's coming out, like, and then he's coming out, and then it's like the Edwin Diaz and the trumpets.
Yeah,
like what would and then Mo had what, Sandman or Into the Sand?
Yeah, I don't think I've thought that far in advance, but I definitely would try and pick something intimidating, pick something that would stick, and
you got time
that would be popular. You know what I mean?
You need your theme song, Tommy's theme song.
Yeah, I got to figure that out.
Yeah,
definitely have to think about that.
Yeah, one. No, and it's a big commitment too, because it's like this song will forever be attached to me, type thing. But that's fire. Are there any current pitchers in the league today, or throughout the history of baseball, that you try and constantly study or mold your game after, if any? Or do you just like, hey, I'm Tommy, I do my own thing?
I like to pick things from different pitchers. So what I like to do, one of my big things is YouTube. Go on YouTube and look up the major baseball accounts, whatever you can find, and just watch what pitchers do with different pitches. Like a pitcher like Devin Williams with his changeup, like that thing moves a shit ton. Like it like disappears almost. Adam Wainwright, Cardinals pitcher, his curveball, like it's nuts. And then you look at guys like like Diaz's fastball, like Shohei's like slider, like an 87-mile-per-hour slider, like DeGrom, like you just pick things. Like you can go on different pages, and a lot of those guys will explain their pitch scripts and explain what they're thinking as they're going through their mechanics and throwing the ball. And I'll do that sometimes if I feel like something's off, because I've definitely figured out things that work. But if something feels off one day, maybe I'll go play with something else or go watch a video, and then the next day I'll show up, and during catch play I'll just mess around with it.
Right.
But it's somewhat frowned upon to copy the pros because they figured shit out on their own, and that's why they are where they are.
True.
So you kind of got to like see what works for you.
Yeah.
And you can slightly tweak it, but I wouldn't completely just buy in on something that a pro does just because, you know, like it works for them.
Right.
Because you never know if it will end up working for you.
So I'm sure it's a little different for a closer compared to a starter, but when you throw, how does your arm? What does a pitcher's arm feel like right after a game, or from what you remember back in high school?
Mm-hmm.
What is a starting pitcher or a closing pitcher like? I'm sure you could break down the time differences. What does it feel like after a game, and then how long does it take to normally recover?
I'm a second day sore guy, so the day after pitching, I like to throw. I like to play catch, or even if I had to throw back-to-back days, because sometimes for us we'll play double headers on back-to-back days, and I'll get multiple opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
But after a start, I didn't want to pick up a baseball for probably 2 days after, because there was days where you're throwing like 100+ pitches, and from the shoulder to my wrist, like my entire arm would just tense up, feel sore. Not pain, luckily, but definitely sore. Like sometimes, let's say I throw 100 pitches and I throw 40 curveballs. Like that takes a toll on your elbow.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you may feel sore the next day. But as a reliever, honestly, I feel the more intense the outing is, the more sore I think I get the next day. So let's say I'm going in there one weekend and it's 7-6 bases loaded, like stuff like that, and I throw like 20 pitches, I'm gonna get sore because it's high intent.
Right,
like,
I got you.
And
you're probably throwing the shit out
exactly.
of the ball.
And then one day, maybe it's a team that's not as talented as the last. We're up 5-2. It's still a safe situation, but like there's not as much pressure on me because I have that 3-run gap that I could play with.
Yeah. Even
though you never want to play around in the game, but like you know what I'm saying. Like I got a little cushion.
Yeah, I got you.
Maybe the next day I'll bounce back a lot quicker. I won't feel as sore.
So would you say closing pitchers could play in maybe 2 consecutive games max, back to back, and then a break, or
I think the most you'd want to do is probably 2 consecutive days. There's the way Division I works, usually is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday single game. So maybe a closer throws 20 pitches on Friday and then bounces back Sunday with a little day off.
So every other day type thing?
Yeah, every other day, back-to-back days, but I don't think 3 days in a row is something that most closers will be doing.
Right. So how does someone build up the stamina to be able to constantly throw baseballs? And how do you avoid the long-term wear and tear of the shoulder? Or is it inevitable? Is sports medicine there yet?
Yeah, there's so many methods. There's like weighted ball methods. There's physical therapy. There's recovery methods with weights, different shoulder exercises. Lifting helps maintain the muscles around to prevent injury. It's tough though. Like you want to like building up the stamina and stuff to throw that much is just throwing every day. Like you want to make sure you're consistently throwing enough to the point where like, let's say I took 3 days off, I'd probably feel out of whack on that 4th day if I went back to throw. I don't want to take that many days off.
Right.
You want to stay consistent with what you're doing. And let's say you're building up to be a starter. If your first outing of the year, like, because obviously people take mound breaks. You don't always pitch year-round. Sometimes you'll just be playing catch or, like, building up or, like, you know what I mean? When you get on that mound the first day, you might throw 40 pitches to batters.
Mm-hmm.
And then a week later, you might throw 60.
Yeah.
And then a week later, 80, and then so on until you build up to your max. Because obviously the arm can't just shut down and then get up and throw 100 pitches. It's just not how your arm works.
Right.
Like that's putting yourself at risk of injury.
Whenever college teams are practicing, do you guys ever... Is practice always live aside from pitcher catcher stuff, or are you always practicing against your hitters? Like, do they do that with the start? Or do they use the machine, just machine only?
Yeah, so
for hitters, or what does that work?
In the fall, live days are usually probably like 2 days a week, maybe 3 at most, and it's like that's when we're setting up 2 mounds, or if we're outside, it's just regular gameplay, and the pitchers will throw to hitters. But the other days, it's just you get there, you stretch, you play catch, you do your recovery stuff to avoid injury.
Right.
And then you do, like, sprint work, stuff like that, like quick twitch, like, stuff like that. And then the rest of the practice, you're really just assisting. So, like, if the infielders need grounders, some of us will hit, some of us will catch, some of us play positions to help out. But, you're not throwing to batters every day. And there's not a lot of pitchers and catchers really work together on bullpen days, like just working off the mound with no-hitters, and then the live days. But other than that, we stay separate.
Just for recognition, if you care to shout out, who's the catcher for Southern? Like, who's your guy?
My catcher is my roommate, Billy Sullivan.
Hey, shout out Billy. Appreciate you.
Billy definitely would want to be on this podcast.
Word? Yeah. Hey, tell him, Billy. Hey, if you're watching, hit me up.
Yeah, I'll definitely get him here.
Or any of your other teammates. Shout out to you guys as well. So, obviously, with your goal of trying to go pro, I'm sure you're constantly working towards building your whip to getting a higher and higher and higher and higher velocity or MPH, whatever you want to call it. What, like, is there a certain cutoff or age when that stops, or are you still in the good to keep getting?
Still building, always building.
But, like, is that like does that ever stop, or is there like you can build if you keep lifting and keep yeah,
you could build. I mean, the professionals that are like 40 years old, they're gonna start to take down.
For sure.
But I mean, there's guys that will start taking it serious at the age of 24, and they'll start building. Like, maybe in high school you had a good arm or something, you played a little college ball, you were throwing 85, 87 miles per hour.
Right.
But then you get out of college and you got all this time, you start lifting, you start doing different things that you didn't have time to do while you're in college. You could build then, or you can build. There's kids now in high school that are throwing harder than the guys in college. It's nuts, dude. There's kids throwing like 97 and they're like 16.
Yeah, it's crazy. Is there how do I say this? Is there gosh, it just escaped me. Can't even think about it now. All right, let me just switch to this. What do you expect out of yourself in the future? When it comes to baseball, just as a human, what are some future goals and aspirations for you?
Whatever comes after college, I just want to love it. I want to do something that I don't dread getting up to do every single day.
Right. I feel that.
And I will continue to make baseball my ultimate goal until like it's done.
Nice.
I don't see myself wanting to do the independent baseball thing after college. It's either I get a professional opportunity or it's time to grow up. You know what I mean? It's time to start your life and see where life takes you. And I definitely never want to step away from the game. So I want to be in athletics somewhere. I would love to work at like a university.
Right.
Or maybe even get a coaching opportunity professionally. You never know. Like,
got you.
And it helps knowing people in high places, knowing coaches, playing under coaches, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I just in the future, I want to do something that I wake up every day and I'm like, I can't wait to do this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, real quick before we get you out of here, I just remember the question. So, is there a certain day of the month or a week or at any point where you try and push your shoulder beyond its limits? Like, how often do you do that to try and hit a higher number?
So, there are things like certain people will do velo days, certain people. You want to build your velocity in the off season, so in the fall. That's when you're doing velo days and stuff like that. You build up your velocity to be ready for the spring. Mm-hmm. So now that I'm in season, I'm not really trying to build. I'm trying to work with what I did in the off season.
Right.
And that's where some people will lose out on playing time because you'll get to the season and you'll be like, dang, I didn't do enough in the off season to prepare myself for the season. And there's people that will pass you and people that will try and take your job, and it's just how sports is.
It's business.
And exactly. So, yeah, velocity days are like you can use weighted balls. So there's a different weighted ball programs where you can use balls that are heavier than baseballs and balls that are lighter than baseballs to work on the muscles in your arm and throwing the ball harder. And then a lot of it is just like leg exercises, like working on your mobility and working on your strength in your legs and driving with your legs and learning how to most efficiently use your body to throw as hard as you can.
If you were to talk to your younger self today or compare some major differences in them, what would you tell them? Or what are some differences between Tommy then and Tommy now?
Tommy then was so unsure of what Tommy now would look like because I honestly never thought I would grow. So I had a lot of doubt in myself as a kid. I really just didn't. I always thought I was going to be too small, too weak, too frail to become a serious athlete. Mm-hmm. And I'd get worried as a kid that, like, even though I loved athletics so much, it wouldn't be something that I could really do when I got older.
Right.
And that also comes with being adopted. Like, I didn't know, like, it's not like I had a tall brother that was blood, like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd complain to my mom. I'd be like, Mom, like, I'm never going to grow. And she'd be like, you'll grow. The doctor told me I'd grow. But I never believed any of that. 'Cause I went to college, or to high school so small. So I would just tell the kid to just stick with it. Just keep working hard and not worry about things like talent, like things. Just control what you can control.
Mm-hmm.
I can't control how much I'm gonna grow. Like, it's just whatever I'm gifted with.
Right.
Like, it's just gonna happen. So if I just paid more attention to detail and skill and stopped worrying about things that I couldn't control, then maybe I would have been in a better place. But I would have just told the kid to work hard.
Just out of curiosity, because I don't think I've actually ever asked you this question, like, to your face.
Yeah.
What's your ethnicity?
Puerto Rican.
Get out.
Yeah.
Are you actually?
Yep.
Like, full blown from what you know?
Yep.
¿Cómo está, Bob? Dude, that's sick.
I wouldn't know what to say.
So were you rooting for Puerto Rico throughout the whole thing? Well, obviously the U.S., but...
Yeah. I mean, Puerto Rico team's exciting.
Dude, that was a fun run.
Yeah, a lot of those teams were exciting. I didn't have a preference. I just like watching all the pros come together and play for their respected countries. And it's an amazing thing to watch.
I'm so happy right now. Actually, I genuinely didn't know.
Yeah, a lot of people. I've gotten African American. I've gotten Indian. I've gotten Puerto Rican, Dominican. I've had people walk up to me speaking languages that I couldn't even tell you what they were saying, and I'd just be like, "Yeah, you got the wrong guy."
Crazy.
It's funny.
That's incredible. Wow. I told you I was gonna ask you 3 things before I got you out of here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna obviously remind you as to what they were, but do you think you're finally ready to answer these questions?
Remind me of the questions.
Let's start with a favorite music album or one that you would have to recommend to the people if they haven't heard it yet. That's fine. Take your time. No rush.
Favorite music album.
Doesn't even need to be favorite. Just whatever you want.
I got a good one. I just gotta remember what the name of the album is. Street Gossip, Lil Baby.
Yeah?
That's one of my favorites.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right.
Because Dreams to Reality is one of my favorite songs.
Good shout.
Yeah.
I heard you.
Definitely.
Show or movie recommendation or both? Your call.
Wow. I am not a show or movie guy, but I've actually been watching New Amsterdam. I think New Amsterdam is a very good show. It's like in a hospital setting.
Yeah.
And the medical director of the hospital has cancer himself.
Wow.
It's like kind of like his story. It's pretty cool. It's a good show. I would definitely check it out. Yeah.
I'll have to put that one on the list.
Yeah.
Lastly, some words of advice and or wisdom, whether it's to your future self, to friends, family, teammates, whoever's out there that might be listening. And if you are, I appreciate you.
Words of advice. Let's see. Don't let anybody ever tell you that you can't do something, because if you work hard at something, you can achieve whatever you put your mind to. And I just feel like so many people sell themselves short or just give up too early on dreams that they may have manifested in their mind or like thought they were possible, just because an outside view maybe said that it wasn't feasible or it's like something you couldn't do.
Yeah.
Just work at whatever you put your mind to until you absolutely cannot do anything else to make it happen. So just stay persistent, stay consistent, and just, always work as hard as you can at whatever you put your mind to.
That was very well said, Tommy. I wish you nothing but luck and success in the future.
Appreciate you.
I hope that we do this again, because this was...
Hell yeah, I'm coming back.
Dog, this was incredible.
Yeah, I'll be back. You can count on that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, I could tell that you're not BSing me. I could see the eye of the tiger.
Yeah,
no joke.
That's it.
I appreciate everyone for tuning in. I appreciate you for stopping by.
Of course.
With that said, everyone, there's a story and it's still being written. My heart goes out to each and every single one of you out there. Keep pushing, keep striving. Ciao for now, people. See you on the show, Tommy.